So First Take had not been discussing the Cavs all that much before the Wednesday game against OKC.
Shame on them.
And on Thursday, First Take had a Cavaliers segment, and I'm going to play you a clip from what Stephen A. Smith said on First Take. We'll react to that in 1 sec. Steve, let's hear it.
Could the Cavs truly win it all?
They could. They could. I'm watching this team. First of all, they're 11-0 against the Western Conference. They're undefeated in their 11 games against the Western Conference. So let's not ignore that, okay? I'm looking at them right now. Molly, right now, they're number one in offensive efficiency, field goal percentage, and three-point percentage shooting. Their net rating second only to OKC. Now, OKC came into this game as the top defensive team in the NBA, and they surrendered 129 points. And this was with Donovan Mitchell having his worst game of the season, 11 points, just 3 of 16 shooting from the field. Jared Allen, this kid, Evan Mobley, I mean, listen, this brother can play. And when you look at him, and Allen had 25 points, they combined for 46 points, 21 rebounds. I'm looking at OKC, and I'm saying, okay, Chet Holmgren is still not back. He's not out there. And you'll definitely need him to go up against a team like Cleveland. But, Wendy, I got to tell you, obviously, we don't want to summarily dismiss the reigning defending NBA champion Boston Celtics. We know what they can do. We know they know how to do it. We know they got 2 stars on their squad. And when Kristaps Porzingis being there, if he's healthy in the postseason, we know what that can mean for them. Plus, they all play their roles. We got that. They're champions. And we need to see Cleveland to believe it. But I got to tell you something. They got size in Cleveland. They got athleticism. They've got shooters. They defend. They're exceptionally well coached by Kenny Atkinson. I believe that Donovan Mitchell is a bona fide star in this game. He's big time. Darius Garland is balling. So when you look at all the pieces that they have and the way that they're playing together, and you've got guys like, 11 different guys, getting minutes for crying out loud. Nobody's averaging more than 32 minutes a game. And you're young to begin with. You're going into the playoffs with all of those abilities, plus fresh, youthful legs at various positions. I got to tell you, Wendy, I can't sleep on the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm going as far as to say this, which is damn near sacrilegious. Okay. Right now, until I see further notice from the New York Knicks, all season long I was thinking about Knicks, Boston. Nah. If I'm going to be an objective viewer, I got to look at the Cleveland Cavaliers and say, yo, peeps, they got a chance to win the chip, to win it all.
So that was Stephen A. Smith raining some high praise on the Cavs. I want you guys to react to what Stephen A. said, and then are the Cavs ready for the expectations that come with being in that elite top-tier category? But, Jay, that's your guy, Stephen A., so what do you make of his comments?
Well, when numbers hit you over the head, you have to acknowledge them. And I think that's what he's doing in this case. And I like the fact that he said that, he was so high on the Knicks, he thought that the Knicks were the next NBA champions. And he loves the Knicks like I love the Cavs. And sometimes your love can alter the way you actually see things. But for him to admit that, you can't do anything but admit it. I know that it's a big issue for folks in Cleveland, whether or not the national media pays attention and gives credit to. I think that at the end of the day, that really doesn't mean a thing. What means most is what they can do on the court. And what they've done on the court warrants them being a favorite to contend for the NBA title. Are they going to win it? They're one of 4 or 5 teams that can. And I think he came to an obvious conclusion, begrudgingly, but he did it.
You know what's funny about this whole national media narrative thing? I was talking to Mike about this in the locker room. I told Donovan this. The national media doesn't exist anymore. There's no such thing as national media. So who is it that you're waiting?
I know.
Who is it that you're waiting on? I told Donovan, I said, it's funny because I said, well, you want First Take talking about you? And then the very next morning, First Take's talking about him. But Sports Illustrated, come on. ESPN doesn't. Of course, I'm coming from a writing background. ESPN magazine doesn't exist anymore. They don't even do very many.
It's the national sports talk guys. That's all the national media is.
Okay, so
but you know what? More than anything, I think it tends to be ESPN.
So you're going to feel better if Get Up and First Take are talking about you?
Yeah,
really?
It means nothing.
I don't understand that.
It doesn't make any sense.
I used to say the same thing when I worked there, and I would hear criticism from every city in the United States on their various team. Why aren't you talking about the Red Wings? Like, unfortunately, you're going for the thing that moves the needle the most.
LeBron, the Cowboys, the Lakers.
The coastal cities where the population centers are.
That's why we get paid the big bucks, because people care what you think. People like to hear your opinion.
Yeah.
And they want to see their team talked about on national TV, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the reason they're fans. So I get why fans are like, listen, especially when they hype up teams that are like from the coast that are like 500. You're like, this is a 500 New York team or a little over 500 LA team. This team is 30-4. I can see why fans want to see their team on TV. Doesn't matter to the players, not really. I think there's a little dig at, they make little sly comments about it. Now, I think they care more about whether or not some guy gets in from a big market team over a team that's 30-4 for All-Stars. I think that's a big thing for them. But, it's just fans. Fans like to see their people on TV.
No offense to Stephen A. I don't really care about anything he said there. It's meaningless to me. Mike, I would have honestly rather you play the clips from Brian Windhorst, who I thought had better insight and much more interesting things to say. Brian actually watches the Cavs all the time.
Windhorst is not anti-Cavs, though. That's the difference.
I
Not
know that, but
anti-Cavs,
again, Stephen A. Smith is a giant in this business. I get it, but I don't know why anybody in Cleveland would care what he says.
Well, it's because of the first part of your sentence.
Because
he's a giant in this business. It's validation when the top. The top voices in the game are talking about you, it validates you.
I guess. I don't think he said anything that was earth-shattering or that we didn't know.
We've known everything he said. Yeah. We've known all of that all season
Brian
long.
said some interesting things there, not there, but like Brian talked about it being the most exciting game he's seen, the best basketball game he's seen in years. He talked about how one of the things Brian Windhorst said that to me that was really interesting is the fact that that every player on the Cavs is a factor. There's nobody that plays for the Cavs that is like a nothing out there, and 9 out of 10 players can handle the ball, which is an advantage they have over every other team.
Here's the reason why Stephen A. Smith saying something is relevant. Because as a local market team, as a team that we live in the minutia of Ohio, Cleveland, right? You want a national perspective of a person who comes from New York, who's in a big market, who has the perspective of the big market team. So we want to see if our style of basketball and what we've been able to do has permeated or reached the masses. Like, you just want to be like, hey, we good, right? Hey, Knicks, y'all could get beat. Like, that's what we want to – hey, we got 32 wins. And so you want to see what they're going to say about it. Now, listen, like you said, reluctantly, you can't hate. The Cavs is the best team in the league right now. And so I want my 4,500. Like, now with the Cavs, I want my 70. I'm trying to get that 70.
You're not getting the 4,500.
I'm not getting 4,500.
I don't think you're getting 4,500 over 5 years.
Nuh-uh. That way we didn't get 4,500. Yeah. We'll move the goal. I want 70 on this season.
You're going to settle for 70? You don't want to break the record?
Hey, listen, you don't put yourself in that situation. That's a little tough.
That is tough.
70. How many? What's the pace that they're on right now?
All right, so I actually looked this up this morning.
So are the
Cavs
Thunder.
right now are 32-4, right?
Right.
The Warriors, when they won 73 games that season, they got to 55-5. So the Cavs, to match where they were at pace-wise,
have to go 23-1
over the next 24 games, which I'm not putting it past them.
I mean,
and you know what?
Some incredible
That's
basketball.
wild.
Their minutes management has been incredible.
Wow.
And I think the big difference between this Cavs team and the Warriors team was their minute management was not. I mean, they were running on that treadmill at full speed the entire season to break that record.
The Cavs have gone 16-1 in their last 17 games. So why couldn't they go? What do they have to go? 22-1?
23-1.
23-1.
So.
They certainly could. I'm not putting past them. But that is the pace they have to maintain.
55-4 is
55-5.
55-5 is.
I've always said this. I'll maintain it. There's no trophy for that.
Yeah, Lord.
There's no trophy for it.
That's tough.
So with what Stephen A. Smith said, what was the Peter Parker quote? With great power comes great responsibility.
Correct.
Yeah.
With great expectations, now comes the responsibility of living up to them.
Right.
The Cavs this season have been the hunter. With the national attention they're getting, with the 32-4 record, they might be becoming the hunted. Do you have any indication, do you guys get any feeling that they're not ready for the pressure and that role as the hunted as opposed to the hunter?
I don't think it's the pressure. I think it's, you sort of saw it last night with Toronto. They have now reached the point where you are going to get everybody's best shot.
Yep.
And that's what you have to prepare for. It's not the pressure of, oh my goodness, we have to deliver. It's Toronto and they suck, but this is their playoff game tonight because they're coming in here and they want to be the team that ends the streak. So that, I think, is a mental adjustment that they have to get used to. And that was one of the things that I think, going back to the old iteration of this, that was one of the things that I think Kevin and Kyrie had to adjust to playing with LeBron. When Kevin was in Minnesota, you didn't get everybody's best shot.
No.
When Kyrie was in Cleveland before LeBron came back, they were terrible. But now all of a sudden, now everybody's circling you on their calendar, and it's a mental thing that you gotta figure that out. And so that's what I think we're in that transition now, because certainly that wasn't the case when the season started. That wasn't even the case. I keep going back to Golden State. Golden State at home is when I said I stamped these guys as this is real, this is legitimate, hold on tight because this thing's going somewhere. But not even then, I don't think were you getting everybody's. Now, after what you did to OKC, and now that Stephen A has crowned you or whatever, now you are going to start getting everybody's best shot. And you saw that with Toronto, and you're going to continue to see that when Indiana comes in, and then when you go to these road games against some of these bad teams when you're on their court. So that's the mental adjustment that you have to click of, hey, it's a Tuesday in March, and we're in Detroit. But, buddy, they're coming in. They are gunning for us.
2 losses to Atlanta. Atlanta is a tough matchup for the Cavs.
Yeah.
I think they do some things that really give the Cavs problems. But I think it was evident even with Atlanta. When you go to Chicago, when you go to Detroit, those are real dangerous games because you're right. Kudos to Toronto. They played that last night like it was a playoff game.
They played their butts off.
They did, and they gave the Cavs their best shot.
They were up 11 late third.
Yep, and that's when
But
it
you know
looked
what?
like,
They're
oh
not
gosh,
that
this is going to
dangerous
happen.
because the Cavs have, I believe, unless Miami under 500?
I think right around.
Miami this year, according to the
They're
ESPN
right around
standings, Miami is 2 games above 500.
So
19
the
and
Cavs
17.
have not lost a game to a team under 500 the whole season.
That is correct.
Yep.
So, the Cavs, they're not, a typical excellent team in recent years in the NBA. They take off nights with veteran players. Cavs don't take off any nights. They play hard every night. Yeah. And to the point of the minutes, I was looking at this yesterday. Every key guy on the Cavs, I'm not talking about Ty Jerome because he didn't play last year, but of the core of the Cavs, every player except one is playing 2.5 to 7 less minutes per game this year.
That's huge.
The only player not in that group is Evan Mobley, who's playing the exact same minutes as last year.
And they're scoring more. They're playing better defense.
They're scoring at an absurd pace.
It really is absurd.
I mean, what are they averaging now, Mike? 124, 123?
For the season, they're averaging 122.9 points per game.
So 123 a game.
Which is, it's tied with Memphis for the highest mark in basketball.
And when these guys get out there, look, they competing for minutes. So I don't expect to see no letdown because if you Karis LeVert, you Max Strus, you Sam Merrill, you Dean Wade, Isaac Okoro, you know that next dude is coming off the bench ready to go. When you playing on good teams like that, you got to compete for minutes. They're going to roll with the hot hand. Mm-hmm. So you're not going to worry about, we're going to take it. Ain't nothing to take off. Like, unless you want your spot in the rotation going, like you better go out there and run what we don't really run and get it how we get it.
That's a good point. When you don't want to be the guy that comes in a big spot and doesn't play well.
Right.
Because you probably can see your minutes go down if you're in that situation. It's just like, it's incredible that every button Kenny Atkinson has pushed has been the right button.
I mean, they've had great coaching, great improvement. They're 2 youngest guys in Mobley and Garland have taken huge step forwards this year.
Great health.
The bench is fantastic. They've had the great health. Knock on everything.
Yeah. Mikey, the question was, can they handle the pressure of being the hunted?
Correct.
So far they have.
Yeah.
So far they've handled that pressure.
Absolutely.
I was a little concerned about Oklahoma City just because I thought that their defense was going to hold us well below our average. We exceeded our average.
Yeah, no.
So I just think
I don't think anybody can stop them on defense. Nobody.
It's going to be really difficult. I think the only team that can beat the Cavs is the Cavs when they have a bad night shooting or a lot of turnovers.
Let me ask you this. Do you think them shooting this well is a smokescreen? I mean, it's a large sample size, but they
like a mirage?
Like the team 3-point shooning.
Yeah.
Some of these
You're
guys
asking if they can sustain it.
Are they that good? Are they that good?
Guys like Karis LeVert, even Evan Mobley, these guys are shooting almost 40%.
But we're approaching the halfway point of the season.
Is that sustainable?
With Darius Donovan, yes. With Okoro, I don't know. But because the game slows down in the playoffs, because you're asking about the playoffs,
Yes.
basically. The game slows down. A lot of these games turn into a little bit more of a half-court grind. Shots aren't quite as easy to find. I'm not saying they can't. I'm just saying if they're playing at a 9, it's a 6.5, 7 in the playoffs. So it just gets a little bit harder. There's more pressure on those shots. We saw it with Okoro last year where he had a great year shooting the ball during the regular season, then he vanished in the playoffs. So with your role players, you're always concerned with them. But with the top guys, I think it's real. And I like the leadership on, like, Max Strus has been to the finals. Tristan's won a championship. George Niang's played in 1 million playoff games.
Well, now all these guys the last 2 years have gotten playoff experience.
Yeah, but every notch.
Sure, yeah.
It's a little bit more. So they haven't been to a conference final yet.
Right.
Mobley, Jarrett, Darius.
have. Besides Strus.
Donovan hasn't either.
No.
So every level, it gets cranked up another notch. So and that's why, like, normally you got to get there once, figure it out.
Right.
And they've done that incrementally. They've gone another step every year. That's what made the Warriors in 2015 so wild, was they just came out of nowhere and then won the whole thing.
Yep.
And that's
It usually is a progression.
it's unusual. It's usually more of a progression. But the Cavs have taken steps. So how much different is it? I mean, that series they had with Boston last year was a pretty good series. They had a ton of injuries. But what's the difference in that and a conference final? A little bit, probably not. What's the difference in that and an NBA finals?
Yeah.
Big difference.
Yeah, to your point, every possession is magnified.
Yes.
Even more so, the further you go, and I couldn't agree more with your point that everything slows down. It's not uncommon to see games in the 90s in the NBA finals because everything is so deliberate. Everything is magnified. Defense becomes more of a priority, and matchups become a bigger priority.
And I remember talking to Griff about this after they won the championship. And the NBA Finals is just in a war of attrition because you've played so many games, going back to the preseason, the entire regular season. There's so many rounds in the playoffs. And I think that was so big for when the Cavs were making those finals runs. They swept everybody, so they got a week off. That's huge. It's huge to get that time off and get these guys off their feet. But the finals, and it goes back to the conversation, we were talking to Kenny about this after the game. Can you play 10 guys in the postseason? He said, yeah, he's going to try. I'm not saying yes or no. I'm saying I think it's going to be hard to do that because you want to roll with your best guys. And you don't want your 10th guy on the floor. You want your 5th guy on the floor.
You also want your best guys fresh at the end.
Right. But and that's where, like, sometimes you have multiple days off between finals games. You at least have one day off. Sometimes you have multiple days off.
Sure.
So you can run their minutes a little bit higher. But it is an attrition game. And guys are, LeBron will tell you, Kevin Love will tell you, it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life is win a championship. It's until you go through it and experience it, you can't describe how physically and emotionally exhaustive and draining it is to win that second round, win that third round, get to the finals. Mike Miller used to say all the time, if you lose a game in the NBA Finals, you feel like you're never going to win another game. The series is over, and that's it. Yeah. And if you win one game, even for the players, they feel like that's it, it's devastating. And if you win a finals game, you think, like, no one will ever beat us. The parade is tomorrow. That's just the emotional swing that even these guys experience.
Yeah. By the way, to your point of you'd rather the 5th guy, not the 10th guy, on the Cavs, guys 5 through 10, I don't know that there's much of a talent difference. Or
I think it's a skill set difference, and that's where
Dean Wade versus
tools. They can do. Each guy can do
right.
a different thing. Which what a luxury to have.
But what I'm saying is, when you look at, right now Dean Wade's the 5th starter. Between Dean Wade and LeVert and all the other guys that play key minutes off the bench, is there much of a difference how good those 6 guys are?
It depends on what you're trying to accomplish. Because Kenny talked about this the other night. If you go too big, I love 2 bigs and Dean at the 3. I think that is a game changer for them. We've talked about it all year. You can talk about their 4 top players, and they deserve all the flowers that they're getting. But Dean Wade at the 3 is the difference because of the length that he provides and the size that they don't have otherwise at that spot. That is huge to me. But Kenny was talking the other night. We can go 2 bigs, we can go 1 big, we can put Dean at the 5. So if you're going to play Dean at the 3, Karis LeVert may not fit. But if you're going to put Dean at the 5, now you need Karis as a shooter. So it's not necessarily the talent difference between guy
Okay,
10
I
and
get
6. It's what can guy 9 do that guy 6 doesn't bring.
And in the playoffs, depending on who you're playing and what you want to get accomplished, you pick your lineup accordingly.
And we talked about, I was talking to somebody about this the other night after the game. Channing Frye absolutely cooked Toronto in the playoffs. He couldn't get on the floor against Golden State.
Right.
So you may have instances like that where Isaac Okoro can help you because of what he brings defensively one series, and the next series he doesn't get off the bench because he's a liability offensively.
Hey, guys, we have some breaking news I have to interrupt with, but